Now let's welcome in this week's guest here on the Kneebar MMA podcast. Is UFC middleweight and former legacy fighting middleweight champion, the Fighting Texas Aggie, Bubba Bush. Bubba will be taking on Gareth McClellan at UFC Fight Night Dublin on October 24th. Bubba, thanks so much for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Now let's ask you right off the bat. We haven't seen you in for over a year. What is the reason behind this little break, and what have you been up to?
Yeah, I had surgery after the last fight. So October 15th of last year, I actually had surgery on my right elbow. I had a UCL completely severed. I think I heard it in training. Actually, I think Jake Hume hit me in the head. I blocked it, but elbow came in, wrist and shoulder stayed out, and I think it tore that ligament. And then I kept fighting on it for about a year. I figured it was tendonitis. It just kept swelling up, and I'd get it under control, and I'd fight. So I actually fought on it 3 times, and at some point in there, it just totally severed. And I couldn't get the swelling under control. I couldn't, deal with it anymore. I couldn't keep fighting, so I had to go get it MRI'd and then fixed.
Now, one of those fights that you're obviously talking about was your last fight, your UFC debut back at UFC 175, International Fight Week. You took on Kevin Casey. You unfortunately ended up on the losing end of that one, but it was later overturned to a no contest. What went wrong in that fight? And were you able to take anything out of it? Use it as a learning experience at all?
You're fading out on me a little bit, but I think, what did I take out of it?
Yeah, I can repeat it if you want. Your last fight against Kevin Casey, you were unfortunately on the losing end of that one. It was overturned later on. What went wrong in that fight, and what did you take out of it? Was it a learning experience for you at all?
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot going on there. It was a hugely busy weekend, all the UFC jitters and everything else tied into that. But mostly, as far as the things that I can work on, not rushing in, being more comfortable on the cage. And I think it's the first time in that level, but being more comfortable in the fight is going to be huge. Not rushing things, letting it happen rather than forcing it. So it's big.
And like I just mentioned, the outcome of the fight was overturned. Casey tested positive for an anabolic steroid, gestanolone. What was your reaction when you heard this?
I was not shocked. Honestly, I was coming out of that fight, and I was just waiting for the test results. I really expected that. I didn't know if he was going to get tested or not, but I don't know why. Just had a hunch. Expected it, so I wasn't shocked. You're a little relieved that it doesn't go on your record in a bad way, but still got to live with the scars and the loss in a sense. Even if it is cheating, it still feels like a loss coming out of it. So I had to wrestle with that for a while. So that was overturned. I think probably should have been a lot harsher penalties. I think you still made money by cheating. You got fined $5,000 and probably made 8 or 10 for the win bonus. So it's like still benefited, and he got back in the cage before I did too. That's surgery. So it's not anything to do with him, but his suspension wasn't very serious. It wasn't drastic. So.
Now, knowing that he was using PEDs, do you feel that had a definite impact on the outcome of the fight, and would you want a rematch down the line with him?
I mean, of course they impacted. I mean, I think his justification was, man, I couldn't make the weight without him. Great, fight 205. That's the point. But as a fighter, I feel like I should be able to beat you at 205 too. I feel like I should be able to go up and it's a fight. It's not this fake world where we have weight classes. It's fun, it's important, it controls the sport, it keeps it interesting. But as a fighter, I want to win that regardless. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, let's just go on to what's coming up to the end of the month. You will be making your big return to the UFC Octagon at UFC Fight Night Dublin. I think Dustin Poirier, Joe Duffy is the main event. You'll be taking on South Africa's Gareth McClellan. How's the training been going on for this fight? And are you finally ready to go back in there?
Yeah, training's good. I think I'm going to peak at the right time, which is always a struggle. But just building, getting better, seeing all the improvements, and I think I'm going to peak at the right time. So it's exciting fighting a guy who kind of represents the best of the entire continent. I think he said that before, and he's the champ down there in South Africa, where the biggest MMA scene, and it'll be exciting.
Right on, man. And you'll be, fighting in Ireland. They're known to have some of the most crazy and passionate fans in MMA. The atmosphere last year was, known as one of the greatest, most electric atmospheres in UFC history. A ton of UFC fighters were campaigning to be on this card, putting out tweets on social media, trying to get on it. What was your reaction when you heard that you'd be fighting in Dublin? Are you ready for this crazy atmosphere?
Yeah. So I don't think it'll be more distracting being in Ireland. I don't think there'll be more going on than the last fight when they had two fights in a convention going on in Vegas. But I think the energy will be great. And just ever since I signed with the UFC, the first thing I thought was, I want to fight in Ireland. Like that was one of my goals. Wouldn't that be cool? And be this quick. But I'm super excited about it. Family's super excited about it. I'm just trying to stay focused on work, So I don't know what it is. Everything's focused on fight night, and then once that passes and settles, get the win and get to enjoy that in Ireland. It'll be awesome.
Right on, man. That's going to be a good one. I know the fans are looking forward to it. Let's talk a little bit about your opponent, Gareth McClellan. Without giving away too much game planning, what do you expect to see out of him? Have you watched any film? What do you expect to see when you get in there?
Yeah, I've watched all I can, but I think there's a lot more to him than what you can see on film. Coming from a karate background, he generally ground pounds his guys. He's got most of his wins by rear naked choke. So, I'm excited if he wants to go and try to rear naked choke me. But I think we'll see a lot of new things out of him. So I'm trying to be ready for anything.
Yeah, and he's from South Africa. Obviously, you're here from the United States. This is one of the only fights on the card with two non-European fighters. Who do you think gets the bigger fan reaction come fight night?
Who do I think's going to get the better reaction?
Yeah, do you think the fans will be behind you, or do you think it'll be more behind him?
I would expect a little bit more behind him because his last name is McClellan. But like if you didn't know he was South African, you'd think he was the local,
Yeah, absolutely. That's an interesting point. And how do you see this one playing out on October 24th? What are your predictions?
I think I'll win. I won't tell you how. I'll put it in a envelope.
Gonna keep it a mystery for us. Okay, that'd be awesome.
And before we let you go, Bubba, is there any sponsors you would like to thank? Maybe you can let the fans know where to find you on social media. I know I follow you on Twitter. You have some good tweets that you put out there. The floor is yours. Anything you want to get out there?
Yeah, I'm real bad about using Twitter. I need to get on that more. I need to post more. But, I appreciate the sponsors that I keep regularly in Cellucor and Hungry Howie's and Fuzzy Tacos. We got the Reebok deal, so we'll probably have less local sponsorship or small-time sponsorship per fight. But I also want to appreciate Saul Luna. This guy's working for A&M, but he's really been helping me out on mobility work and release the bus and everything. So been huge this camp. And then my coaches, Jared Quant's been taking me up to see Carlos Machado in Dallas a lot, and that's just when a guy like that, just a legend, has time to devote to you at all. It's quite an honor. It's been very helpful.
That's awesome stuff, man. And well, there he is, the one and only Fighting Texas Aggie, Bubba Bush. Bubba will be taking on Gareth McClellan in a matchup which will kick off, which should be a great night of fights. UFC Fight Night Dublin, Poirier versus Duffy, October 24th, on UFC Fight Pass. Thanks for coming on the show today, Bubba, and safe travels overseas.
Hey, thanks for having me. We'll be blessed.
We'll be talking to you, man.
Cheers, man. Have a good one.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Bubba. We appreciate it.